And now start exaggerating your breaths in through your nose. So inhale a little harder. And just notice how different it is where your ribs expand. How much easier it is to pay attention to that area. And take a small break. Now we're going to practice the exhaling, which will be done in this class, which is through your mouth. So you'll breathe in through your nose and then through your mouth, full breath out, like you're fogging up a big glass window. You're trying to make a really long exhale. And everybody's on mute, but if you weren't, I should be able to hear you. So just practice that, deflating your whole entire body just through breathing. And relax. So anytime we're doing exhaling in this session, that's how you'll be doing the exhaling. So we'll start with the first move. It's an all fours. So on this one, what I'll say to clients is work with what you have, because if you're really reaching and not using your neck, that's how I want the move to be done. But if you're really reaching and you're starting to use your neck, just don't reach that much. So work with the range that you have that feels good without feeling everything in your neck. So the way you'll do this is a little bit of a tuck of your hips. Exhale. You're dropping your ribs down, but notice I'm not doing this with my head. I'm not arching my back. I'm dropping evenly through the shoulders, slow, because it needs to last as long as your exhale. Inhale, push up without hunching over. Exhale, drop slow. Inhale, push away. Elbows stay straight or soft. You just won't bend them. Everybody looks good. Drop very slow because your exhale should be lasting about 8 to 10 seconds. And I encourage people to just close their eyes and pay attention to your hands. Think of your hands driving all of this motion. They're controlling you on the way down, so you really have to feel them on the ground, and then they're pushing you on the way back up. And just notice how much separation can you get between your shoulder blades. How well do they come together and then pull apart? And take a break. On this one, this is where some people will need a pillow between their ankles and their hips. Not everybody. You'll start in the rock back position, so we're going into a lat stretch. So start with your elbows down, butt to your heels, and take your right arm and reach it across and hang out there. Perfect. And through the nose, expand on the right side. So bring your attention to the right part of your body. Where do you feel restricted? Where is the tightness as you breathe in? Can you feel exactly where the air goes? And the more you can breathe in the area, the more of a stretch you'll feel. And I'll take your right arm towards your right knee. Reach the left one across. Full breath out as you breathe into the left side. Where does the air go? Where do you feel the restriction? And then back to all fours. You got a slight tuck through your hips. Feel all 10 fingers on the ground, and then slow exhales. You evenly drop through both sides of your body, your shoulders, and then inhale, reach away. Anytime you feel like you're getting distracted, just slow down the move. Make a conscious effort of not using your neck. You're only using your shoulders. Each inhale, reach a little more if you can. Think of you're doing it with your breathing because you're breathing in. And back to the lat stretch. Butt back, left elbow down toward your left knee, and reach the right arm across. This time, really pay attention to deflating the left side of your body with an exhale. You'll feel left abs, and then push everything to the right as you inhale. So exhale, the left side of the body deflates. Inhale, everything gets pushed to the right. Now take your right arm down, left arm across. And now you'll deflate the right side of your body and inflate the left. And then back to all fours. This time you're going to hold it. So the really good way to set up to make sure you don't do this is flatten your back, slight tuck through your hips, push up with your arms, so that should get you in the position where you're not hunching. Take one hand, tap it on one shoulder, and just hold. So you're not dropping, you're just holding and pushing. In through the nose. But I still have that imaginary hand pushing, so I'm not rotating. It's like both hands are pushing. So whenever you're ready. Good. And that's as if both arms are still pushing. Switch sides if you haven't already. and hold. You should feel one side of your abs a little more than the other. And then switch sides. And keep going, keep reaching. And switch sides. Awesome. Go back with both hands on the ground. Keep reaching. And now just continue to tap without anything moving. Rib cage does not move at all. Shoulders do not drop. Nothing moves other than the arms tapping. Unshrug a little, Jesse. Yes, there you go. And relax. Back to the lat stretch. With the right arm across, left arm down to the knee. And see if you can get in one inhale, expansion from your shoulder all the way down your hip. So on one breath in, everything expands from your hip up to your shoulder. See if you can manage that by just driving air in that area. And then switch to the other side, same thing. In one inhale, expansion from your hip all the way up your shoulder. Every part of your rib cage expands. And rest. Awesome job. Now, probably always will do the inverted, less exaggerated cat-cow, just because for clients, it's so important for them to differentiate between tucking and untucking. And that's all they're doing is focusing on that. And then inverting people, we can talk about this after, why it's awesome to invert people. So you're gonna push up with your arms as long as you're not shrugging. So there is a nice little reach to your shoulders. You're gonna exhale. I want you to think of the back pockets getting pulled up towards the ceiling. Inhale, back pockets get pulled down. So when it comes to your attention, you're either pulling your back pockets up or you're pulling your back pockets down. So there's always something to hold on to when it comes to paying attention. Exhale, same through the mouth. Inhale, back pockets get pulled down. And think of only your hips moving. So now, once you have a nice reach through your arms, everything stays there. And Renee, get your elbows back a little bit. Perfect. Exhale, back pockets get pulled up. You're untucking your hips. Inhale, back pockets get pulled down. And now you're going to do the same move laying on your back. So in a glute bridge position or hook line, you are going to pick your hips up, but you don't want to just do it in one motion. The way they pick up is because you're rolling your hips. So you're rolling, peeling, think one vertebrae at a time, and you continue to roll until eventually you pick yourself up. And then slowly control it on the way back down. Start all over, roll. If your hamstrings start to cramp, start all over instead of trying to hold it there. And I want your knees to be straight. So I don't want them to drive out. Pretend there is a ball between them. So they should be nice and straight. And the big thing, you can just breathe through your nose. The big thing you're paying attention here is what your move is doing, which is rolling the hips. And then what muscles are you feeling? Usually that's glutes and hamstrings. And just hold on to that, what your hips are doing and what you're feeling. Knees straight. Pretend there's a ball in there between them. Nice job. And take a break. On this one, you can put your knees on top of a pillow, but you'll lay with your legs straight. So this is the exhaling. So either legs straight or on top of the pillow. You're going to focus on fully exhaling, and you'll create a lot of tension at the end of the exhale. So what you're just going to alternate from going from holding on to the tension and letting it go as you breathe in with a 5-second hold at the end of the exhale. So in through the nose, full breath out, all the air out. Hold for 5 seconds while you're paying attention to all the tension that you just created, and then inhale, actively let it all go. The last little bit of air almost feels like it's being squeezed out. It's harder to get out through your mouth. And get to that point where it feels slightly uncomfortable. Hold on to that for about 5 seconds as you're paying attention to the muscles that are on, and then let them go. And you can even say that in your head. I'm holding on, and then on the inhale, I'm letting them go. And then back to the cat-cow. Make sure your knees are right underneath your hips. Instead of being too close to each other, get a nice reach through your arms, push your elbows into the ground, exhale, untuck, inhale, tuck the tailbone. Exhale, back pockets get pulled up. Inhale, back pockets get pulled down towards your knees. Lacey, get your knees closer together. And then, yep, you too, Sam. You're always going back to the back pockets. What are they doing? And then back to glute bridge. This time you'll hold the glute bridge for a second at the top. So you'll roll, 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 and hold. And what you're holding here, this top position, is a stack position. So notice the position of your pelvis at the top. Hold for a second before you release. And keep your knees straight. Pretend there's a ball between them. And just bring all your awareness to the muscles that you feel working. And take a break. Lay with your legs straight. You're going back to the exhaling, where you're going from deflating your whole body by fully exhaling through your mouth, holding on to the tension. And it should be all throughout your body, your abs. You should feel a little heavy, and then letting it go on the inhale. And just pay extra attention of where the breath goes when you relax. It should almost feel very superficial, like the tops of your rib cage, the front of your rib cage, as you relax those muscles. And then back to cat-cow. This time, you are going to allow your spine to move, so you'll just continue to pull the back pockets down. So you're here, and then you're inhaling, you're tucking, and then you continue to pull, so your whole spine comes along, and then back to exhaling. So it's still the same driver, just more exaggerated move. Nice. And then back to glute bridge. You're holding the glute bridge at the top position. So whenever everyone's ready, find your feet on the ground, find your knees, let them be straight versus dragging out. And by pushing down into your feet, that's how you're able to start the roll through your hips. And go about halfway up and hold. Bring all the attention to your feet, your heels, your toes. Think because you're pushing down into your feet, that's how you're able to hold your hips up in that position. Your feet are holding you there. And then take a few seconds to relax, come down, let everything relax. Do this 2 more times. So whenever you're ready, roll, knees straight. And now bring it back to your feet. They're holding you up there. And that's what lifting weights is using your feet to push into the ground and move your body. And relax. Feel all the muscles relax. You got one more. Back to your feet, roll your hips. And if the hamstrings cramp, take a break. Your feet are holding you there. And relax. Back to the exhaling. But this time, you're not going to relax on the inhale. You're going to breathe underneath the tightness. So full exhale, hold for 5 seconds, and instead of letting it go like you did on the last 2 rounds, you hold on to it. And the breath in should feel deeper. It should feel like it's in the middle of your body versus just your chest. Now feel like you're not getting enough air in, and that's okay. We'll take a couple breaks. Exhaling is the same. Just don't let go on the inhale. And you're breathing underneath the tension that you created by fully exhaling. How different does the inhale feel? And take a break. Relax for a few seconds. Let the muscles let go. On this next one, a good way to keep the tension, another way to think about it is at the end of the exhale, you should feel your low back kind of hit the ground. Keep the low back on the ground as you breathe in, and that's another way to keep the tension. So whenever you're ready, that can be something you pay attention to. In through the nose, full breath out. Everything should come down towards the ground. And keep it there as you breathe in. And relax. You got one more. This time you're gonna poke yourself. So you're on the ground, full breath out, full breath out. Have your fingers kind of touch the side because you should feel a little bit of tension at the end of the exhale. Not because you're bracing, it's all created from fully exhaling. And then keep that as you breathe in. So all the muscle activation that you feel is because you're fully exhaling. and take a break. Perfect. Now you're gonna go into a squat position. So not everybody, you're not gonna be able to squat very much. We're gonna go to our sticking point. So what I mean by the sticking point is I want you to be able to squat down and not push your butt back. So it might only be like a mini squat. So, okay, so I'm here. Feet are gonna be hip width apart, toes straight ahead. This is what I don't want here. So notice my hips, I tuck them, which you should all be really good about to do this now. And then I squat down, and that's as far as I can go before I start to go back. So you're gonna pull the back pockets down like you've been practicing, drive your knees forward and hold. Full breath out. Do not lose contact with the heels. Your knees are straight. Knees forward a little more, Lacey. Yep. I think everybody's good. More tuck, Sam. And just hold that position. Work with what you have. The back pockets are being pulled down. Back to your feet too. Think of your feet holding you there. And now keep that position as you push into your feet and stand tall with your hips underneath you and the back pockets get pulled down until you're fully extended. Perfect. And then back to your back. Feet on the ground. You're gonna reach both arms up. So give yourself a little bit of a tuck, not too much, just a little bit in through the nose. Reach your arms up. You're gonna have a tendency to bring your chin back. Allow it to happen as long as you keep your head relaxed on the ground. So each exhale, you're being pulled by your fingertips. You're reaching, reaching, reaching. Your head's relaxed. It's all shoulders. Each exhale, you reach a little more. Reaching gets you abs. And relax. Back to the squat. So feet straight ahead, soft knees, back pockets get pulled down, squat down and hold that position. Lacey, come up a little bit. Up a little, yeah, now really tuck and knees forward. Yep, right there. Your feet are holding you up there, so you have to feel your feet on the ground. They're pushing into the ground. Back pockets are being pulled down. Definitely feel quads on this. And now push into your feet as you slowly come up and keep everything together. And relax back to the reaching. A little bit of a tuck. Reach, 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 reach. Jesse, angle your fingers down a little bit towards your knees. Right there. Yeah, go to that angle. And your head's relaxed. You're just deflating by being pulled through your fingertips. And take a break. Last squat. Feet straight ahead. And notice my knees stay straight, so I'm not driving them out, not letting them cave in. Straight. Feel my heels. Right there, Lacey. Perfect. Good. Go a little lower. And come up. Keep the position. Awesome. Last reaching. Your shoulders come off the ground, your chin goes back, but relax your head in that position. Each exhale, you get it pulled a little more. And relax. And stay right there. And you're going to end with what you started with, which is paying attention to your regular breathing. So lay with your legs straight, bent, whatever's comfortable. And you're going to go back to your regular breath in and out through your nose. And are you able to follow it from the inhale all the way to the exhale with your attention? And then whenever you're ready, start moving around. You all did great. That was really good. Really well done. So anything happened throughout the whole thing? Nothing bothered you? Like, the hope would be people don't feel problems throughout it, but there's always something that might hurt. But the goal is that the way we teach the technique helps the body distribute load in a certain way where people don't feel things like their knees and back, because we distribute the load because we're hopefully feeling more things like glutes and hamstrings and abs. But there's always, people will always feel something. Did anyone feel any pain or problems throughout it? No? No. Samuel?
Yeah, I just had a question. With the breathing and stuff, I can definitely feel the abs turning on, but I don't know if it's just me with the disconnect between kind of like the pelvic floor, to put it in layman's terms. It feels like I have to consciously think about clenching or something to control that portion of it. Otherwise, it feels like it's always just off.
So to make sure I'm hearing you correctly, so when you're fully exhaling, in order for you to feel your core, you feel like you have to kind of clench your pelvic floor?
Yeah.
Possibly, so part of your core, so when we're doing the breathing exercises, we have 2 diaphragms. So we are trying to get our top diaphragm and our bottom diaphragm to face each other, so then we can get this position that we call the stack position. I can see why you might feel that way, Samuel, when we have the legs straight, because we kind of got rid of the lower body portion of it. So for someone who understands what it should feel like, you might, I can see why you feel like you have to move your hips as well, because you should. So with our exercises in the gym, there's always a tuck component for all of our ab exercises. So it won't feel the same as you laying on the ground with your legs straight, fully exhaling. So the 90-90 with a tuck and the breathing on top of it is probably different than just laying on the ground straight. So that might be what you're feeling.
Yeah.
But when you're laying, but the purpose for that one, for like a client perspective, is just understanding, like creating the tension and then letting it go. Creating the tension and letting it go. Because now I want them to become competent and understanding the difference. So when they're at the gym and I say fully exhale, now don't lose the tension, breathe in, and then they can squat instead of them not understanding what I want them to do. Very similar to the tucking. But that might be something, that might be what you're feeling, is that your legs are straight, your pelvis is on tuck, so now you don't have both diaphragms facing each other, so you kind of feel that disconnect, or you can't get that full exhale.
Okay,
Did
thank you.
that answer your question?
Yeah, and I'll do a little bit more reading on it and see what I can learn about the pelvic diaphragm and stuff, so we can get a better understanding.
Yeah, anything like Zach Couples, he will have that on there. Like if you Google Zach Couples pelvic diaphragm or infrasternal angle, that will show up.
Thank you.
Awesome. Yes, Corey.
Hi. Basically, just to follow up on that question. So for me too, like when we do the exhale, like I have to consciously pay attention that I start with my lower abs, like starting from my pubic bone. Would that be something that you would want to, right? Like the same thing with the clenching, and start your contraction, or like start the whole process from the pubic bone and getting that whole tuck in, right? Just to clarify, I wasn't sure.
Yes, and no. When you fully exhale, sometimes what you'll start seeing, if they don't do what you're wanting them to do, what you just brought up, if I just exhale from here and then push it out, like you don't want that. And you'll see that sometimes. The problem with coaching that is people who are not body aware and clients who don't understand any anatomy, trying to coach them out of it, they'll just tense up. So if you ask them to start exhaling from like closer to the, I call it the low belly by the pubic bone, allow that to deflate as well. Brand new clients will just get so thrown off by that. But you do want that. That is the goal. So what I will cue is when someone's in the position here, I will put their hand here and say, picture that deflating as well. So then now everything's dropping together with them like trying to pull it in, or drawing in their navel and like trying to suck in. So yes, you do want that with a full exhale, is everything deflates. So the lower abs will contract as well. I just find it very hard to do with a new person. So someone that you've had for a while, that can be like the extra cue that you add. Like, okay, so this time, picture everything kind of deflating and dropping at the same time. So if you ever see the exhale, but then the low belly pooches, that's what's happening. They're just crunching with rectus and they're not actually deflating the everything. But
Okay, perfect. Thank you.
you can get very picky with that, but I find that it's better like later on. So you can almost like show them how to do it incorrectly and then add an extra cue to it.
Okay, thank you.
Welcome. Anybody else? Yes, Christine.
About when you're on all fours and the reaching, if I'm not like consciously paying attention to like protracting my shoulders, I tend to get a lot of upper tracts. I'm just wondering, how would you cue that for, like, where is your emphasis in the reach in the all fours position? Is it like pushing your elbows away? Because sometimes I still feel the upper tract in that.
Yeah. So that could be for a couple different reasons. One, your body is just not strong in that position. So once you've had a few reaches and now other things start to take over, so you haven't really adapted to reaching just with like this here. And that's what you're reaching with is the shoulder muscles, but you don't necessarily feel them. So I don't really ask people like that's where you should feel it. Another thing that might be happening is in order for me to do this on all fours, I need to be able to fill up my rib cage here. So let's say if I can't, and I can't breathe in that area, I don't have access to that motion, so I have no choice but to like get it from somewhere else. So that might be happening too, is you don't have access to your back expanding, so you have no option but to do something else. So a thing that you could do is take a little load off of the body, or the upper body, and I have people do it here. So now the angle's a little different, so then they practice this here. And if I can get them to do this, and they're like, oh wow, this doesn't hurt, or I don't feel any pain or my shoulders, then this is where we start. And then work our way up to this here. And what I'll tell people is work with what you have. So I try to find like the step down that feels good. And then I'll say, see, it's the same thing. It's just a little less intense. So you can do the exercise that's bothering you right now because you're able to do that one, which is the same thing, it's just less weight. So we just need to be able to bridge that gap. So for you, Christine, I would try this here and see if that helps. Another thing that I've seen work, and I don't even know why, it tends to take a lot of tension up here, is cutting off the elbows, and I do it on like a box. So they're on a box doing it back and forth, like a little plyo box. Yeah.
You raise, you're up, you're not so close to the floor.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, and it still looks like I'm on all fours. And then the other thing is, let's say if you're working with clients, they might not be strong enough to hold themselves there. So a way to really work on that reach without their neck, one is body weight. So just reaching here, because this might be hard for people. But if you look, I'm basically on all fours. So if you can do this without some neck pain, maybe adding 5-8 pounds, doing it this way to strengthen your muscles in this position. So when you do all fours, you've kind of trained yourself to do that.
Right.
And laying on your back, it is easier to help manage not using your neck versus all fours, I find.
Cool. We'll give that a try.
Cool. Yeah, arm bars are great for people who are struggling with all fours, just because we strengthen the muscles in that position and then it can transfer over. Awesome. Any other questions?
I had a quick question, kind of to follow up from like the last one we did last Sunday. You'd mentioned that when you first see people, there's kind of like the core principles that you want them to learn before you kind of dive into, you know, the more advanced strength stuff. What's the foundation? Like, what are the core principles that you want everybody to have a really good grasp of?
Oh, for clients?
Mm-hmm.
We have a really good 90-90. glute bridge, arm bar, which is the reaching the weight up, quadruped, half kneeling, and squat. The one that you all just did, except for I put people on a ramp and they're holding on to something. That's usually like their first 2 days is we run through those things. And if they can manage more because they're in better shape, but they just suck at moving, we add like sled pushing and rope slams at the end to finish them off. But those are usually the things that we nail down is like a good 90-90, a good glute bridge, a good arm bar, quadruped. And there I see if they're good in quadruped, because a lot of people will feel a lot of neck in quadruped. So if I try it out the first few sessions and it's all neck, then we don't do a lot of ab exercises on all fours. We do more supine, like dead bugs and wall press abs. And then a good half kneeling and a good squat.
Cool.
So that's our onboarding that we give people for a day or two. And then they come in and they do the same things that I just told you, but condensed, and it only lasts 15 minutes. And their workout is an assisted squat, which is the same thing you all did, but going up and down, holding onto a barbell. And then some type of short-seated landmine press or pull, but I'm still working on the squat position, as you can see. And then the second tricep is usually an assisted step up, which is basically a single leg squat. So it's like the same thing over and over again. And then the short-seated push or pull. They do that 5 sessions in a row. Since we started doing that, it seems like they're doing, because they are to us. As trainers, you look at my program and you're like, wow, that's like the same thing every time. Every time they come in, they're doing the same thing. But to them, it's so new. So I think trainers get in the way of like their own way, thinking that it's boring and the same. But to the client, they've never done this stuff before. So it is brand new. So I think we put a lot of pressure on ourselves to give all this novelty. But you can give someone the same workout every time and add novel experiences throughout it. Like, oh my gosh, Lacey, you're going from the blue kettlebell to the orange kettlebell today. And like, that's novel, but you're still doing the same exercise. Or you add a little move to it, like arm bar. If someone's doing an arm bar for their warm up and it's their 4th session in a row, they're holding. So they're here. Say, okay, Lacey, so go ahead and start tucking like the glute bridge. Tuck a little more. Awesome. Now it's like a glute bridge and an arm bar, and then I'll walk away. So like right there, I made that exercise harder and changed it up a little bit. And that's how we're able to get away with like the same stuff over and over again. And once they do that, they end up being really good clients. Like by the last day that they do that workout, they're basically on their own. They set up themselves, they can do it themselves. So it helps because we're in a semi-private setting.
Yeah.
It'd probably be a little different if it was one-on-one. It'd probably be less. I'd progress people faster for sure.
Cool. Thank you.
And I'm working on sharing my onboarding program. So whenever that's done, what I'm doing is I'm doing a group mentorship. So it's 4 people per group, and we meet every 15 days, and I take you through my whole entire onboarding, how I introduce breathing, how I talk to clients about it, and then everybody in the group will role play and practice that. Like, how do you explain breathing to your client? Because it's not the way we explain it to trainers. It shouldn't be. So, and then I'm going to release my whole onboarding through that. So I'll let you all know when that's out.
Great. Thank you.
Any other questions? Cool. How do you feel?
Good.
Yeah, everybody looked good. Awesome. Well, thank you for joining.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
You're welcome. But yeah, let me know if you have questions, Instagram, Facebook, but I will see you all next Sunday.
Thank you. Have a good weekend.
You too. Bye.
Bye.